Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome back to the TCEC Season 25 Super Finals between the two top engines Stockfish 16 and the Lc0. As I'm recording this video after 95 rounds out of 100 games that have to play, Stockfish has a comfortable 4 points lead, and in the games 96 I think Stockfish could at least make a draw, which basically means that this tournament is over in my opinion. Lc0 cannot catch up anymore with Stockfish because Lc0 would have to win now every particular game they have to play in the last 5 rounds, which is in my opinion simply impossible, because if you have followed this TCEC competitions, the organizers are setting up always a slightly bad continuation for one engine, and then the engine has to basically defend its position. So in my opinion, Stockfish will play at least 2-3 draws out of this next 5 rounds. So in my opinion, the Stockfish engine is of course the winner of the TCEC Season 25. So I've sorted out a spectacular game played by Stockfish against Lc0 in the beautiful Ruy Lopez theory, in which we'll see really sort of an idea that breaks basically the concept by black that has been played many times in chess history. This line that I'll show you has been played many times with a decent success by black. Black has 38% of winning games in this particular line that I'll show you, but Lc0 and Stockfish will break this line. Lc0 also won the reverse game. I'm showing you now the Stockfish game with the white pieces because it was simply incredible, impossible, really with dirty tactics all over the board. So pay good attention. I think this could be useful for you. Maybe your opponent will try to do this sort of bad line, which has been played, as I said, really many times in chess history. Then you can surprise him maybe with the Stockfish method here that I'll show you today. So let's see now the game with the white pieces. The fish opened with the move e4. Lila's response was e5. I'll do this first moves a little bit faster because we're still in the pre-arranged opening. So we're now in the Ruy Lopez, the Morphy Defense, and after a couple moves, after bishop to b3, we have now the Arkhangelsk Variation with the move bishop to b7. So of course the bishop in some lines should be maybe developed to this diagonal, but it's also useful maybe to have this bishop here in some lines. You can maybe break and enter, then afterwards after knight to a5 you can also break the center with the move d5. So here in the continuation we have rook to e1, bishop to c5 by Lc0. So we're still in the pre-arranged opening theory. We have c3 d4 preparation here by the fish, and now after move d6 d4, bishop to b6, bishop to g5 pinning the knight, and after move h6, bishop to h4. Now the last move that was pre-arranged by the organizer was now the move queen to d7, which of course leaves now this knight unprotected, which of course gives here white the opportunity to pick up now the knight like Stockfish did with bishop to f6, g takes f6. Simply black is relying to maybe create some damage through the g file, and as I said, in chess history, after move queen to d7 there was 38% of success by black. Here I see in the database only 30% draws have been played, and only 30% winning games by white after queen to d7, which has been played, as I said, many times in chess history, but Lc0 and Stockfish are simply breaking this opening theory with the common bishop to f6. A better choice instead of the move queen to d7 is to proceed with g5, bishop to g3, and then also to castle kingside. Then you still in some lines have maybe later the opportunity to play g4, h5, h4 and similar stuff to expand here on this side. So risky choice, but as I said, after bishop to h4, queen to d7, the fish immediately captured the knight, and now the g file is open. After bishop to d5, here queenside castle, which has been played also many times in chess history. This is a sort of a surprising motif by black in order to maybe create really some damage on the g file. But Stockfish is a different beast. Look how Stockfish dismantles, destroys, really disrupts this opening theory by black. Stockfish plays immediately the move a4. Very good move, of course breaking here now the small pawn chain a6 b5, and is of course trying to do some damage here on the a file. We have rook from h to g8, knight to a3, and now queen to h3. Here, surprisingly, look at this, in chess history, instead of this move knight to a3 that Stockfish played, king to h1 has been played once I see here in the database. So white is getting out of the potential g file attack. Then one game continued with queen to g4, and then white defended with rook to g1. But Stockfish, as I said, is a different beast. Stockfish doesn't care here for black's attacking chances. Stockfish simply relies on his own attacking chances on the queen side. Here Lilac proceeded of course with the move queen to h3. Stockfish plays g3, locks out now the g file, and Lilac continues with h5 with the preparation to play the to h4, and then after knight to h4, maybe queen to h4 could be a possibility. Many of us, I think, would be a little bit scared to face this kind of an attack by black here from white's perspective. But as I said, Stockfish doesn't care. Like Hikaru Nakamura, Stockfish is simply playing 8xb5, saying here, show me what you got here on the king side. Lila continued with 8xb5. Here you could also pick up now the pawn on b5, but Stockfish plays more progressive chess, plays now the move queen to b3, is simply relying on the queen attack here on the b file. Lila continues with the move h4, and now a brilliant move here by the fish. Stockfish continues with knight takes h4. Anyway, so many of us wouldn't dare to play this move, but what would have happened if you play here queen to h4? If you play queen to h4, then here queen to b5. You have to step back with your knight, and then we simply pick up here the piece, and then with knight to c4, we're breaking and enter here this particular position. Look at this. We can even delay to capture the knight. If you go here to b8 to get checkmated, you have to go to c6. Now we play queen to c4, and now even queen to f7. Look at this. We deliver new check, and now a new check. You can maybe cover, but this is simply a one-way ticket in white's favor. Look at this. We have here an attacking flow, and after a couple more moves, the game is over. We simply double up rooks, and you can resign after a couple more moves. So really wild stuff that here actually knight to h4 is working for white. After knight to h4, rook to g4 was played by Lila, trying to do maybe rook to g8, and then rook takes h4 here by the rook, and maybe even deliver checkmate. But Stockfish again plays simply on his own plan. Knight to f5 includes simply now the knight into the game. We have rook to h8, also a huge threat here to deliver even in some lines maybe checkmate on h2, but again Stockfish doesn't care. Look at this, knight to c2. Again Stockfish is saying, show me what you got, your attack means nothing to me. Look at this. Even if you try queen to h2, this wasn't played in the game, but look at this, we simply step back. Again we step back. You can maybe even sacrifice the exchange, but now we play a calm king to d2, and the game is over here for black. Really crazy defense here by Stockfish 16. So here after knight to c2, as I said, maybe you can deliver one check, but nothing spectacular is happening here on this side of the board. After knight to c2, e takes d4. We have c takes d4, rook to g5, queen to f3. Now finally, Stockfish brings now the queen into defense, queen to h2, king to f1, queen to h5, and now queen to g2. So far, Stockfish has defended the position and still has some great chances here, here on the queen side, and has also the powerful 2 pawns in the center of the board, and also the very powerful supported knight here on f5, really this octopus knight that's controlling now the center of the board. King to b8, queen, rook to d1, rook to g8, and now king to g1, simply improving now a little bit the position of the king. Rook to d8. Here by Lila, we have knight to e3. Look how Stockfish is cementing the position around the square d5, but also around the square f5. So the position is now really fixed here. d4 is protected, so it's now really a sort of a positional battle here by Stockfish in the center of the board. Knight to b4, attacking now the bishop. g4, kicking away the queen, queen to h3, and now a very nice progressive move by the fish, rook to a3. This move controls, of course, also the third rank, and is also somehow indirectly hitting the queen, this unpleasant queen here on h3. If you play here bishop to d5, then the game again leads into a line where we have a certain bad bishop strategy. After e takes d5, look at this, the bishop would be paralyzed, would be simply out of game, and the knight would control here many squares in the center of the board. In this potential, I don't know, maybe middle game / end game stage, the knight should be much more powerful. It cannot be, of course, attacked by any minor piece anymore. The bishop is out of game. We have to include somehow the rooks into the game, and I think this is a strategically simply winning game here for white. So after rook to a3, that's why c6 by Lila c0, rook to b3, attacking now the knight, and now c5. Again, if you try knight to d5 here, then we simply take e takes d5. You can maybe play c takes d5. The pawn on b5 is hanging, but now it would be a double bad bishop strategy, sort of. Both of the bishops would be paralyzed by the knight's activity, so now we can capture this one. This one is then weak. The b file is open, so again a devastating position for black. After rook to b3, we have c5. Stockfish finally trades off the queens, trades off also the bishops, and now simply gets an extra tempo against the rook on h3. The rook retreats, and now we have rook to c1. let's see what happens if you play c takes d4. This wasn't playing the game, but then again, knight to d5, knight takes d5, e takes d5 creates again a new bad bishop strategy. You can never compete here on the c file because you get knight to d6, the fork, so it's also not working. And this pawn is weak anyway. We'll capture it every couple more moves, and also this one is weak. So again, this is not working. From a strategic point of view, this is again, I think, completely winning here for white. So after rook to c1, we have rook to e8, king gets closer, rook to h8, king to g3, knight to a2, and now rook to b1, protecting simply the pawn. After knight to b4, now Stockfish plays a beautiful, spectacular exchange sacrifice with the move rook takes b4. Simply paralyzes further the bishop. That was the whole concept, the whole strategy, the whole plan to create this bad bishop paralyzed by this pawn on d4. And now the knights are, of course, very dangerous, especially when the knight comes here on d5. We have a knight to d5 by the fish, b3, we have knight to f6. Look at this. It's very easy now for white to find the next best squares because the knights are, of course, now flexible pieces that can dance all over the board. b4, we have rook to c1, again, competing on the c file. It's not possible because of the fork on knight with knight to d6. Bishop to c7, knight to d5, bishop to a5. Look at this loose bishop here. This bishop is really sad. Bishop cannot get into the game in any way here. Bishop to a5, g5, we have king to a6, rook to a1, king to b5, and now simply pushing the pawn on f4. Stockfish creates now this massive 4 versus 2 pawn storm here in the center of the board, and also on the king side, supported by the knights. And this is, in my opinion, as I said, completely winning endgame here for white. Bishop to b6, rook to c1, rook to e8, knight to f6 protects, of course, the pawn on e4, rook to f8, d5. Simply pushing the pawns, tiny little moves here, tiny little improvements in one particular moment. When the time is right, then we'll break and enter, maybe also with the move e5. So here, bishop to c5, and now finally e5 here by fish, d takes e5, f takes e5. The bishop has a certain activity here, maybe, but it cannot be supported. These pawns are very dangerous. So now Lila played a desperate move. Rook to c8 threatens maybe some discoveries, picking up the rook, but Stockfish simply plays rook to d1, supports now the passer on the d file. Rook to a8, knight to e4, attacking now the bishop, rook to a2, and now rook to c1, simply hitting the bishop. Now a new check, king to a6, and now rook to c6. You cannot, of course, pick up here the pawn on b2 because you get knight to c4, and the game should be over here. So it's not working. After rook to c6, that's why Lila played king to a7, g6. Brilliant move here by the fish. After something like f takes g6, look at this. We would create then 2 connected passers that would be supported by the knight's activity and also by the rook. So this is not working. After move g6, we have rook takes b2 by Lila, and now Stockfish makes further progress with the move g7, rook to g8, and now knight to c8, we have king to a6, and now a rook takes b6. Stockfish simply grabs the bishop on b6, the bad bishop that was all over, that was bad really through the whole game. After rook takes b6, king to a5, Stockfish plays rook to b8, and now after check, nothing spectacular here. Lila is trying, of course, somehow to get use of the also of the passer on the b file, but Stockfish plays a calm move, knight to d6. We have rook takes c8. Even if you start to push, then of course you can also run into a checkmate here with rook to a8. So that's why here rook takes c8 had to be played. We have rook to c8. Even if you start to push the pawn now, you get knight to c4. Then you lose the pawn and of course the game. You could also try here rook to h7, but again knight to c4 is, I think, solving all of the positional problems, and will start to push the pawn here on the d file. So in the game, rook to g2 was played, knight to c4 anyway by the fish, d6, rook to c2, d7. We have now the move b2, and now a beautiful move, knight to a3 here by the fish. Very instructive here move, because if you play like Lila did, king to a4, then knight to b1 blocks, of course, here the position, so it's simply not working. So rook to f2, attacking the king, rook to f5, d8 the promotion, not only a check, but now after a couple more moves here, after rook to a6, the game was over. It was a beautiful checkmate here by Stockfish 16. So as I said, this is really spectacular how Lila also won the reverse game, but how they broke this theory that supposed to be good maybe in some other preparation, maybe in the last century, but now this line is simply not working. I'm going to watch how the current standings are here now. Let me see if Stockfish has won the game. So as I said, we're now in this game 96, so still they are playing, but as I said, even if Stockfish makes a draw here, I think in the next couple of rounds Stockfish will play at least one draw, and then of course it's completely over here for Lila-C0. So great game. I think this could be useful for you in your preparation in the Ruy Lopez. If you want to see more spectacular chess games played by top engines, check out our commented chess games played by computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say? Chess is the best, of course.